This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, Joanne.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joanne. I'm an alcoholic. And thank you, Michelle, for asking me to come out and share. I'll thank you first before I forget. Welcome to all the newcomers, chip takers. Happy birthday to the birthday people. Birthdays are so good, and so are chips, and so is being new is actually good, but I didn't know that till after I wasn't new. But you got to start somewhere. And I'm going to try to be whatever. I was told this is being taped, so I'm going to try to keep the language pretty... I don't know.
Just be yourself.
No, I'm going to be myself. I feel like I'm on The Price is Right or something because there's a lot of audience participation here, which is good, Okay, I got until about, what do I speak? I stop at 10 till 9? Okay, that's a long time, but I think I'll be able to fill it. I grew up back in New York. I'm not a native Californian. I've been out here for about, 11 years. Where's Ted? He always teases me that I'm from New York. Yeah, I'm from New York. New York is in the house. Yeah. New York. All right. And that's where I grew up. That's where I got sober. That's where I did all my drinking. I moved to L.A. when I was about 10 years sober. But my story starts... I believe that today I was born an alcoholic. I didn't know that before I got here, but, I was born restless, irritable, and discontent. That's just the way I came out. Out of the womb, I wasn't happy. I wanted to be happy all the time as a kid, but I really wasn't. I was uncomfortable a lot as a kid. And I grew up in a household where, I grew up in a fairly normal household, and I share that because I know today my circumstance doesn't make me an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic because that's just the way I was born. That's just the way the genes are put together. I don't come from a household of any abuse. My parents don't drink. None of that kind of happened, and I'm still an alcoholic. I went to private school and graduated college and learned how to drive. I'm still an alcoholic, So I know today that, my circumstance has absolutely nothing to do with my alcoholism, with my drinking or not drinking. But I had to learn that by becoming Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't get all that before I got here. I was the kind of kid that I was quiet. I was a quiet kid, but I wasn't shy. I was the kind of kid that would watch you all the time. I was watching, because my goal in life was to have you like me. I wanted to please you, and I wanted to just insert myself in every situation at the perfect moment so I wouldn't ruffle any feathers. You wouldn't even notice I was there, and I was just always around, but I was a good kid. I didn't want to disappoint anybody because I myself didn't like disappointment. Even today, I hate being disappointed. It's like the worst feeling. I think the only difference with my disappointment today is I don't drink over it. But so that's the kind of kid. Just quiet. Went to school, hated school, not because I wasn't a good student. I just didn't like going. I thought the other kids were stupid. I remember in kindergarten, I thought life was really a bore. I was like, what's the point? So from early on, I didn't understand, no place in the world. I felt I didn't have a place in the world. And I was just uncomfortable all the time. As a kid, I didn't know I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable all the time. And I didn't like the other kids. So what I did was I masked all that fear, all that self-centered fear that they talk about. I just masked all that with a lot of arrogance and disdain and, I just thought I was better than you all the time and smarter than you and just trickier than you were. I was just the better kid, and that's the way I just went around in life. And I started drinking when I was about 14. Yeah, so I'm going through school, it sucks. I hate everybody, but I'm getting good grades because I stay to myself. Because, I don't really like you, and I want all the teachers to like me, and all the teachers do like me. I'm the teacher's pet, so all the other kids don't like me too much because of that, but that's the way I roll. That's the way I am, And that goes on. My life I don't get any more comfortable, and I didn't start, I started drinking when I was 14, but nothing got any better. I got more and more uncomfortable the older I got. You get into adolescence and things really start sucking, and I was like, what do I do now? And then I met this guy. I was about 14. He worked in a liquor store. Now, I didn't know that that was perfect, but that was perfect because I was a budding alcoholic, and I met this guy who worked in a liquor store, and I don't know that we did anything except wait for him to get off work, and we go sit in the back of the store and just pull everything off the shelf and just drink it, drink it, drink it, drink it till you get drunk, drunk, drunk. And, so I know today, and I look back and first time I drank alcoholically. I know that today. I didn't know that back then. I thought everybody drank to the point of sort of being sick and throwing up and that whole deal. But what happened to me before I got sick is I forgot about myself. This first drunk that I had with this guy, before I got sick, I had that thing, where the alcohol goes down your throat, it hits your stomach, you feel really good, and life was beautiful for all of about 10 minutes, 10 minutes. Because I felt, well, if I feel that good with this, let me keep drinking, because I know I'm going to feel even better. So from the beginning, I didn't know when enough was enough. I didn't know that you were supposed to stop after a while. I didn't know that not everybody got sick. But what I do remember is that for the first time in my life, I felt pretty good. I felt good in my own skin, and I said, well, I guess everybody else must feel like this all the time, right? But maybe they did. I don't know, and the possibility is that they probably weren't drinking to get that way, but that's the way I had to get comfortable in my own skin. And before that, my parents, I don't grow up in an alcoholic home, so, I'm not really exposed to alcohol except at parties and stuff. So, I really didn't drink anything really before then. Maybe my dad gave me some sips of beer or something, but that was like, whoop-de-doo. I thought it tasted like crap, so I didn't really pursue that. So that was like my first experience with alcohol and getting drunk and actually feeling good before I actually got sick. And, what I do remember is the next morning when I woke up, I had a hangover or something. I wasn't right, and I was filled with remorse and guilt because I knew, deep down in there, somewhere inside, that my mother didn't raise me to hang out in the back of a liquor store to get drunk with some guy. From the onset, there was just some guilt about what I had done because it didn't seem quite right. And that never went away. That feeling of guilt and remorse and getting sick that never went away. That started with my first drunk, and that continued till I came into Alcoholics Anonymous. But what I did was the next time I was able to get alcohol, because I didn't drink daily from the beginning, I forgot about how lousy I felt afterwards, and all I remember was that first 5 minutes where I felt really good. So every time I went out and drank, I was looking for that first 5 minutes, so that first drunk. That was the sweetest drunk I ever had, and I don't think I ever got back there, But I tried awfully hard, tried every combination of whatever you want to give me to get back to that first 5 minutes, So, I don't know that I drank every day from there, because I went on to get into college and do that thing. And, I managed to stay in school, but I drank through school. I didn't go away to school. I went to school at night, and I worked during the day. And, I would get out of school at night, me and my friends would go across the street and drink after class, When you're young enough, you can still drink and get up in the morning. And you reach a certain age, you can't do that anymore. But I was young enough that I could still, get out of class about 9 o'clock at night and go drink at the bar and figure out how I'm going to do my homework with all my other friends. And I absolutely thought nothing of it, As far as I'm concerned, life was still a party. I was probably an alcoholic then, but I hadn't reached the point where I had to drink. I thought I was still drinking because I had a choice, and maybe even then I didn't have a choice, and I didn't understand that yet. But, my drinking progressed, and I was able to graduate school, learn how to drive, do all that stuff, and I just drank through it all. But the flip side of that story was, friends of mine had gone away to school or whatever, and people are starting to make life decisions, like maybe who they might marry in the future, or, looking to get a home or a car, or whatever those life decisions are that you make as you kind of move along that path. I wasn't able to do any of that. And I could never figure out that it might have something to do with my drinking. I know today that I drink no matter what the circumstance was, happy, sad, or indifferent. I'm drinking, And what would happen was I would try to plan to go ahead and do these things with my life and get stuff together, and I couldn't, 2 and 2 just didn't make 4 for me, no matter what I did. Could not put anything together. And so what I would do is I would go to the bar to figure it out with my drinking buddies about why I couldn't get this to work and why I wasn't able to save money to go on vacation and why I couldn't move out of my apartment, why I'm still living with my mother and what's wrong with my boyfriend. So I would figure this out while I'm at the bar, thinking that we're all going to come together and have a really good, decision-making. We're going to brainstorm, right? And by now we're all drunk. So I did a lot of thinking in the bars and a lot of dreaming. I was a bar drinker. I didn't really drink by myself. I went out and drank. I went out and partied. I mean, I'm a kid of the 80s, so I hung out in discos and I did that whole thing. And did a dance called The Hustle, which I guess few of you may know about that. But that was before my drinking turned on me. So I did a lot of hanging out before, I wound up not being able to hang out anymore. And I'm not going to say, I didn't have any fun while I was drinking, because I had an awful lot of fun when I first started drinking. I did, until it didn't work anymore. And, who's to say if it was still working? Maybe I'd still be drinking, but it quit working, And I started to get in trouble is what started to happen. I would go out and I would wind up, my intentions would be to go over here and I'd wind up over here and, things were not working out in the end. But, I was just saying, my life was not coming together and I just didn't attribute any of it to alcohol. And so, it became a vicious cycle early on. When I felt lousy about my life, I drank, and every time, and the drinking would just compound the lousiness. Or my inability to kind of put something together, and I just didn't get it, So that continued on. I'm an alcoholic who, you can call it function, you can call it whatever, but, I just like to say, I was out in the world, stark, raving mad, a bunch of character defects just running over you, because I graduated college and I kept a job and I learned how to drive and I did all that stuff that I thought normal people did. The problem was I was doing it all drunk, so I'm the person that you see on the bus or the train in the morning after not sleeping too much or maybe, not sleeping at all, and I'm going to work the next morning and I look crazy because I am crazy. I'm still smoking then, I'm probably chain smoking and just, talking to people that I shouldn't be talking to and just, I'm just crazy, So this functioning alcoholic thing, I don't know what any of that's supposed to mean, but that was me, and I still lived at home then, and I knew that if I didn't work, my mother wasn't going to give me any money to support my party habits and buy my clothes, because once she found out that we could work, she was like, all right, that's it, you can work, I'm cutting you off. So, I had to support myself, and keeping a job and all that really just fed my denial, because my thing was if I could show up at work, then I wasn't really that bad. So my cycle of drinking would be, I'd go out at about 4 o'clock, and not 4 o'clock, whatever, you're getting ready to go off work, and, you go to, I found out about happy hour. So happy hours are great because I could drink a lot for a little and maybe eat for free. So happy hours are like all the rage, and Thursday night was like the night to start the weekend, and I go out Thursday with my friends, and that was enough for a while, but then like Thursday moved up to Wednesday, and Wednesday moved up to Tuesday, and then 8 o'clock at night wasn't long enough, because 8 o'clock I'm just getting started, because most normal people are fixing to go home because they got to get up at 6 in the morning and get ready to go to work, and I'm just like, where are we going next? Because I'm just getting started. So, I figured out I didn't drink like the people I was hanging out with, and so they would go home, and then I'd go some other place and find some other people to drink with who were going to stay out and drink with me all night. And back in New York, the bar's open till 4, so I'd stay out till 4. Why not? But I used to laugh at myself because I used to say I couldn't tell time. I wore a watch, I figure I'm halfway into, but I could not tell time because I would get into these like time warps, and I'd think like, at 8 o'clock, I'd be looking at the thing, and I say, all right, you're going to go home in an hour. You got an hour more to drink. That's plenty of time. And then 9 o'clock would come, and I'd be like, all right, you're going to drink for 2 more hours. You're going to go home at 11. And I'd be like, that's plenty of time. And 11 o'clock would come, and I'd be like, all right, one more hour. And I'd be there till midnight. And then by 2 a.m., I'm like, all right, the bar's going to close in 2 hours. You might as well just stay. So I'd be out till 4 in the morning. That's how I would tell time, and then, I'm trying to get home to lay down for like a half hour, which is like insanity. So then I figured out a better way, just don't go to sleep at all. And that's how my drinking was at the end. I used a lot of drugs, and, after a while, you don't have to go to sleep if you use the right drugs. So that is what I was like. I would go out for happy hour, and I would wind up not sleeping at all, going home, take a shower, to change my clothes, to come back to work, to do it all over again. And when I get to work, I'm sick. I'm sick. I'm an alcoholic who's always sick. I was sick from day one. I'm one of those throw-up alcoholics. And I was sick the day I walked in here. So I'd be sick after being up all night and drinking. And I would go to work, and I would do whatever I needed, do whatever job I had. And I would be chain smoking at my desk, because you could still smoke inside enclosed buildings then. That's how old I am. And and by noon I could maybe have some chicken soup and not throw that out. That was good. And I didn't want to drink in the morning when I got to work, because I'd be like, nope, because that's going to mean I'm an alcoholic. So I would take like Bayer aspirin, Coca-Cola, chicken soup. I would have all these remedies for this hangover and this nausea that was like killing me, because I was just sick. And 4 o'clock, somebody would come up to my desk and say, hey, you want to go out tonight? And I'd be like, yeah, because I'm going to have 2 drinks and go home, right? Because that was what I just, I was a kind of drunk, I didn't want to black out. I just wanted to get right, and medically 2 drinks would get me right. But I always overshot the mark, because I'm an alcoholic. I didn't know that. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have 2 drinks and go home. And don't you know, I'd be out again all night, coming home at 6 in the morning, doing the walk of shame, because, no, it's not funny. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. Because, see, then the disease is so progressive that 4 in the morning wasn't enough. I still didn't have enough alcohol in me, at least I thought I didn't, So I found after hours spots. And then I could go there and I could stay out until whenever, and I'd come out and there'd be like these, these little secret places, these little like red doors, with no number. And, was that the name? I don't know the names of any of those places. I would go to these places, and now I'm being frisked for weapons. I'm like, I don't have any weapons, and I don't, So yeah, those are the kind of places I wound up at, and coming out of there in the morning, that's like chapter 3, incomprehensible demoralization. I'm coming out of this place at 7 o'clock in the morning with the clothes I had on literally 12 hours ago. Everybody else is going to work, and I'm going home to take a shower and do it all over again. I'm not even going home to lay down. I'm going home to take a shower to do it all over again. That's how I drank, and that in and of itself, I mean, that's a hell. That's like a hell on earth, really, really just narrow life, I mean, that's all I did was drink, work, and when I was in school, I went to school. That's all I did. I couldn't, anything that, in the gray area, life, where I know I live a lot of my life today, I couldn't figure it out. If it wasn't yes, if it wasn't no, if it wasn't black, it wasn't white, I couldn't figure it out, and I couldn't figure you out. So I just drank, I drank and I partied, Anyway, that went on and on and on and on and on. I don't know how many years that went on, probably not as many years as it felt like, but it felt like an eternity. Because, see, that whole cycle never got any better, and I can tell you, physically, the alcohol and the other drugs, it wasn't working anymore. By now, at the end of my alcoholism, I probably had poison a couple of times. I know I had seizures. I know that because I can look back today and kind of see what happened. I started to have seizures from too much drugs, too much alcohol. So physically, I was starting to break down, and that was kind of scary when you don't know what's happening to your body, or you can't stop putting what's in it, what's causing your body to go off the handle, and you can't not have that stuff that's making you so sick. That's very scary. That is like, and I still live at home. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. I have 2 younger sisters. My parents are divorced. My mom's at home. She doesn't know what to do with me. She thinks I'm crazy, and I am. And, she does not understand why I cannot stop drinking, and I cannot explain to her why I cannot stop drinking. And even if I try, she will not understand because she's not an alcoholic. So that was the kind of dialogue that I was having now at home. My sisters had already expressed to me explicitly that I am, the worst example that they've ever seen of an eldest daughter, Yeah, I mean, they think I'm crazy and just, not worth being around. And they were right. They were right. My middle sister would always come to me every now and then and say, you need to get some help. You need to clean it up. And I'd be like, yeah, just back off, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And, but she said this one time, and I don't know that my night out there was any worse than any other night, but I heard her. That one instant, that window of opportunity opened up again. Somebody, and I heard her. And I was like, she said, this girl goes somewhere and she gets some help and she drinks too much just like you do, but she's looking better. I was like, where does she go? And she said she goes to some hospital. I don't know. One thing led to another, and I found myself in a meeting. And that whole thing about my just wanting to have 2 drinks and go home, I think that happened on the last day of my drinking from what I can remember. Because I got sober in the summer, August 27th, 1986 is my sobriety date. And I remember that night, I would do this thing. I would have only enough money to drink, but not to eat and drink. And I would always go out with people who didn't drink as much as I did so that they could maybe control me for about the hour or so that I was with them. And this one night, we were done eating, and there was a bar in the place, and I went to the bar, and I'm trying to hustle drinks, and nothing's happening. I just, I couldn't do it. And I remember getting on the bus that night and going home, and it was still daylight, so it wasn't 8 o'clock yet, and that was another. I think that night I had 2 drinks, and I went home. I was so, just done, like from the inside out, spiritually bankrupt. I didn't know what that was, but I hear that today, and that was, just toast from the inside out. There was nothing left. Had no more ideas. I had no more schemes. I had no more hustles. I couldn't talk another person out of a drink, even if I tried, So I went home. And that was a Thursday. I remember that distinctly. That was a Thursday, and that Saturday night I found a meeting. So let me get sober. So I go to this meeting, and I'm scared to death. Because this way of life that I know, because I know it well, but it's killing me. I know it well, but it's killing me. I'm like, well, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do? So I go to this meeting, and it's probably about as many people in the room as what's sitting here tonight, or maybe not even, but I just thought there were hundreds and hundreds of people there. And they were all talking to me all at once, and they all wanted to give me their phone number, and I just, I was done. I knew in my heart it was done. And, at the end, they said, like, the Lord's Prayer, and I hadn't prayed in years. I hadn't, I went to Catholic private school and tossed the God thing out way before I started drinking, actually, because I had discovered science as a kid. And early on, I was like, freak this miracle thing. I'm going with the science, And anyway, they said the Lord's Prayer, and that just, I said, all right, well, they said the Lord's Prayer, and so, they said, come back, and I did, because I didn't know where else to go. I was like, I didn't want to be locked up. I felt like they would have kept me, and I probably could have used the rest, now that I look back. Would have liked the rest, but I just didn't go that route. I got sober meetings. I shook it out. AA was a little bit different back then, but it still works fine, because I'm still not drinking a day at a time, so it works absolutely perfectly, but, back in New York, old timers would give you a piece of candy and a cup of coffee and tell you sit down and just listen, and just hear what the other people have to say, and, get a sponsor, and I did that. And worked the steps, got a sponsor and started to work the steps. My first sponsor was great in that she gave freely of the program, the first 164 pages of the big book. She taught me that that's the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the fellowship are the people of Alcoholics Anonymous. She shared with me that the only thing I'm promised here is sobriety and nothing else. And she was right about that, at least in my case. This is just for me. She said, all you're going to get here is sober. She said, if you get anything else after that, that's gravy on top. But you're going to get sobriety, if you hang with this thing a day at a time. And she was absolutely right. And she also shared with me that I am going to place expectations on people just because I'm human, and vice versa is going to happen. People are going to expect me to do something, and we're going to fail each other. I'm going to fail you sometimes. And I'm going to feel like I've been failed, by someone who I put on a pedestal or whatever. But she said the 2 constants that I can always count on is my higher power and the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And for me, that has been true. She would tell me that when all else in my life is chaotic, and this has been a chaotic year for me in terms of just work and a bunch of other stuff, like with so many other people, that, the 2 things that would be constant are my higher power and the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And she was absolutely right about that. And I'm always grateful to her for that. I don't know where she is today, but she gave freely of this program. And so I began to work the steps with this woman, and slowly but surely, my life changed and continues to change on a daily basis. Um, Without the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, I don't think I'd be standing here today. I have tried to abstain from drinking before I came to Alcoholics, dry drunk, but I could not stay stopped. I could always get stopped, but I couldn't stay stopped. So the spiritual basis that this program offers me is more important than anything else, more important. And the longer I stay sober, it's a spiritual aspect or my spiritual growth here that remains ever so important, more so than anything else here that I can get here. But I always say my spirituality is of the practical kind, because my feet are planted on this earth and I am of flesh and blood. So, my spirituality comes in ways where I just, put my best foot forward, try to be the best person I can be on a daily basis, and treat you as I would like to be treated. And for me, that's 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous in a nutshell. But I'm grateful that they are outlined in 12 steps so that I can kind of get there. I have a process to kind of get to that way of thinking and that way of being, and that's what I get from Alcoholics Anonymous. One of the things that I love about the program is that it talks about me being a contributing member of the human race, of society, and that's really all I wanted. Those people that I used to make fun of in the morning as they went to work, as I was, stumbling out of some after-hours joint, I wanted to be one of those people so bad, but I didn't know how. Now I know how. And it's those simple things that keep me coming back. Yeah, there's some big stuff that may have happened in my life, but it's the simple things that I'm really grateful for, such as being able to get up and do the things I need to do, being able to call a friend, call somebody in the program, help somebody else. I'm grateful for my apartment, for my car, for the little things. I'm grateful I have an umbrella. It all sounds kind of crazy, but when you're out there, when I was out there drinking and drugging, some of those things didn't come that easily. I struggled for some of those things. I'm very grateful that on a daily basis, and some days are better than others, that I'm relatively okay in my own skin. I'm okay pretty much most of the time. And when I'm not, I have learned in Alcoholics Anonymous how to take care of that and how to get okay. So this ease of sense of self that I have today, this lack of self-loathing and this lack of self-scrutiny that I came in here with and that I drank over, I don't have any of that today, and I'm forever grateful for that. I used to drink to feel good in my own skin. I used to drink to feel what I call normal. So today I don't have to drink to feel okay. I don't have to drink to come out of my house. I used to drink to go shopping, to buy food, because I didn't know what was going to happen in the store when I went down the aisle, and maybe if they didn't have what I wanted, what was I going to do? What would I do if the store clerk said hello to me? Whatever. I used to drink to cope with all of that. Okay, and I'm not drinking today because of any of that crap. That's all a good thing, and that's why I keep coming back to Alcoholics Anonymous after a couple of decades. Everything that I learned in the beginning when I got here, which is call another alcoholic, work my sponsor, work the steps, be of service, clean up, show up. All those things still work today. Those simple little things still work for me today. Still keep me sober a day at a time. And I'm also very grateful that, Alcoholics Anonymous is a way of life for me. I'm not thinking a lot about what I'm going to do today for my sobriety, because that's just how I live. I'm probably going to talk to somebody in the program. I'm most likely going to go to a meeting. I am going to read something. I am going to say some prayers. If I'm lucky and I think about it, I'll meditate for a couple of minutes, and maybe I don't get to do everything every day, because I don't, but I get to do something every day, and every little bit for me has helped immensely. It's about repetition for me. I got to keep doing the same stuff over and over, because my brain, I don't hold much. Don't remember too much what I did yesterday. So for me, meetings are important. Meetings and service are so important, because it keeps me in touch with why I got here, with why I came here. If I ever forget why I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, eventually I believe that I would drink again. So it's important for me to tell my story and share, what I was like, what happened to me, what it's like for me today in Alcoholics Anonymous, because if I don't, I'll forget. Because if you ask me what my drinking was like, I'm going to tell you about all the fun I had in Studio 54. I'm not going to tell you, where I wound up. I'm not going to tell you that I used to, wind up with my head in the toilet bowl. If I made it home, I slept in the bathroom. Yeah, that's not what I'm going to remember when you ask me what my drinking was like. I'm going to describe the taste of a margarita to you and how good that was. So as an alcoholic, I'm only going to think of the good things until I come to a meeting. So meetings put everything back into perspective for me. They put me back right-sized. If I ever think that I'm all that I'm hot stuff, I come back to a meeting. Because what I need to remember, I'm just one among many. I am not special. I'm a fellow among fellows and a worker among workers. And before I got here, I used to want to think I was a little bit better. Hey, why not? Somebody's got to be better, right? Why not me? But I also realized that that's not the way it works, at least not for me today, So, my time's almost up, but, I just want to say that, I didn't get into a lot of specifics about what's going on in my life today. I don't really think that that's important. What I like to share is the recovery that I get from coming to meetings a day at a time, the recovery that is possible in Alcoholics Anonymous for me and for anybody else who chooses it. The wonderful thing is that it's available to everybody and anybody who wants it. And that's what I love about Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't have to pay an admission fee. I don't have to sign up. There is no contract that I am bound to, and I'm absolutely free to come and go as I please. And with that, there's a lot of responsibility that, for me, that comes with those few tenets, and they're very loose. But with that, I have a responsibility to myself to stay put if I see fit, and also responsibility to share that this has worked for me, and that I am no different, and that if it works for me, it can work for absolutely everybody in this room. And if you're sitting here, it's working right at this very moment. So anyway, thanks for letting me share.